Hello, it's Chris from My Stamp Lady. I am so excited to be here to show you this gatefold card. It's a really fun but super easy fold that makes your card seem a bit more special. So with this card, I am using the Good Morning Magnolia Bundle. It comes with the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set, which is the 2 cases is 1 stamp set, and then it coordinates with the Magnolia Memories dies. If you purchase the stamps and the dies together, by the end of May 2020, you will save 10% on that purchase. That's called the bundle pricing. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to cut and score your cardstock base. So I have a cardstock that's 8.5 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to use my Stampin' trimmer, and I'm going to go in to 2 1/8 inches right there, and I'm going to score that. This is my scoring blade there, not the cutting blade. Now you could move it over and go to 6 3/8, but because the 6 3/8 is right on the edge on this trimmer, I am going to go back and just use my 2 1/8 on the other side too. Okay, so I have my cardstock scored, and now I can just use my bone folder and go in and press that. Bone folder is super helpful with this card. It presses and makes those folds nice and crisp. And then you can see that my cardstock opening meets right in the middle there. So I've shown you how to do the basic gatefold, and now I'm going to show you a little bit about Stampin' Blends and the order that I did some stamping there. From the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set, I am using Tuxedo Black ink to ink up my images. And I have the leaf, the flower bud, and the large, gorgeous, gorgeous magnolia. So I'm going to stamp those straight up and down. And I've stamped all my pieces, so now I just need to get the coordinating dies from my die set. One of the things I love about this very large magnolia is this flower is amazing, cut out and colored. So I've die cut all my shapes. And then you'll notice from my finished card that I did actually cut this large leaf off. It was just a bit too large for what I wanted, so I trimmed off that leaf. And then I'm going to pull one in that I've partially colored already, just so I can jump to the coloring. I've already trimmed that off by hand. I just used my scissors to cut that off. Now I'm going to color this. I have my Petal Pink combo, and then I have a dark old olive and a light Mossy Meadow. I'm going to combine 2 different colors from different sets. So we'll go in and I'm going to add a little bit of the dark color here, down at the base and up where there are some of the lines. I'm not doing a lot of intricate blending here. Very quick, very basic, and then it's done. I'm first starting with the light Mossy Meadow because that is my darker color. So I'm going to go in and add some dark areas here. Now I have my dark old olive, and I'm going to blend in those dark areas with my lighter color. You would continue coloring just like I had until you finished. I did the additional leaf and the additional flower bud the exact same way I did that first part. I'm going to move on to that sentiment part. To do my sentiment or my background part, I have my thanks from the stamp set, and I'm using Mossy Meadow. I'm going to stamp that in the upper right corner. And then I'm going to add a little bit of texture to this with the Subtles 3D folder. I stamped it first because I don't want to have to go over bumpy lines. You can stamp afterwards. I just like to stamp it on flat paper to start with. Okay, I have a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock just to mount that right onto and mat that. It's 1/8 inch larger. In order to add some texture to the front of this card base, I could run each piece through. I decided to do it a different way. I have my 3D leaves folder. I am placing a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5.5, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. So when I'm done, I have an entire piece that is embossed. I'm going to cut that in half at 2 1/8 inches. And since my cardstock piece is 5.5 inches, this will cover the entire front of my card. I tend to do my embossing in layers. I do like the look better, and it's much easier to run through the machine when it's a separate sheet. If there's any part that's overhanging, I can just trim it off. And that's how you get that fabulous embossing on your card front. A very important part about gluing down this piece is that you do not put your adhesive all over the entire back side, because if you do that, you won't be able to open your card. So I do want my glue about, I'm going to go about this third. I'm not going to go quite to half, just so I don't accidentally go over on the other side. So putting glue only on a portion of it so that it will stick to the left side of the card. When you open it, I have just the glue behind there. And now I can position down my other pieces here. Again, making sure that I do not glue any part of this flower to the right hand side of my card base. Make sure, yep, there's still no glue there. It can still open. I am going to tuck that piece down there, and then my leaf right in between. And that is how I have my beautiful card front for this. To finish off my card front, I have the Woven Threads sequin assortment. I'm going to add some of the sequins to the card front here, give it just a little bit of glimmer, and to draw the eye across the front. So I'll put those down. I'm using the Take Your Pick tool. You get to choose which ends you'd like to put on this end, and this end has that little, just slightly sticky, tacky end to pick up small objects. So there's my card front, but when I open it up, I certainly could just write on the pink. I like to add a little piece on the inside. In Tuxedo Black, let's stamp that sentiment, so that when you're done, the front will say thanks, not only for what you do, but being for someone so special. Then I would take in my Stampin' Blends, color up this little flower, mount that to the inside, and I'll go back and color up this flower after my video. You already saw me color earlier. You can go back and watch that part if you want to see how I do that. So now you can see on my finished one that I have the subtle background in here. I have stamped my inside. I'm going to go back and color the flower, and this is one gatefold. I have an additional gatefold idea for you here, and this one's a little bit different in that I made a large piece here and used the entire magnolia flower. So you can see the difference here. I just used a large background piece, and on this one I used just a smaller piece that is overlapping the background. If you have any questions about the gatefold card, please contact me. Otherwise, subscribe if you like videos like this and ring the bell to get notifications.